Welcome to the Hollywood Raw YouTube page, guys. We're happy to have you here. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave us comments, do all the stuff.
What are you waiting for? Let's go. I got a drug addiction to feed.
Welcome to the Hollywood Raw Podcast, Raw Rundown. My name is Adam Glyn. Over there is Dax Holt. We are the Hollywood Raw Podcast, where we like to unveil. What is it called, Dax? We lift up
unveil,
a little bit.
Lift the veil, pull back the curtain on Hollywood.
Pull back the curtain of Hollywood.
Hollywood's panties. Oh, no,
Yeah.
That was too far.
Yeah, no, we like to kind of tell you what's really going on in Hollywood because everyone else is bullshitting, and we kind of like to tell you what's going on as far as, I don't know, because we're two journalists that really know what's going on in Hollywood. I shouldn't say we really know, but from our experience, we kind of know who's doing setup shots, what's the campaign around that celebrity, what's that celebrity really like. Because what we do is we do 2 episodes a week. In the middle of the week, we usually talk to each other or we talk to a celebrity. This past week, we had a great guest on this past week.
Who do we have on again? Oh, yeah, Amanda.
Yeah, dude, what are you nuts?
It has been such a long week. I am so exhausted. I am like, oh, thank God it is Friday so that I can go and sleep this weekend. I am just exhausted. I have not been sleeping well. So, yes, we had Amanda on from the Not Skinny But Not Fat podcast. She was awesome. Really fun conversation, and just watching her trajectory of like going from a smaller podcast to one of the biggest podcasts on the planet, locking down huge guests. She had Drake Bell on this week talking all about, his, when he was arrested and his allegations, all kinds of stuff. So, she was good.
Yeah. Actually, Dax, so we're recording this. This is on a Thursday. Obviously, this episode comes out tomorrow. I'm just in the lobby of a hotel. And I was with 2 other guys, and who walks into the lobby of the hotel, and we both were like, whoa, just because it was sort of like weird to see them in person. Dr. Phil.
Okay.
I was like, oh, that's Dr. Phil. And he's just like an interesting guy.
Did you get video of him?
No, I was in the lobby of a very fancy 5-star hotel. And he was like, I guess he's staying
You say
in the
that
hotel.
like it's stopped you before.
On the street, it's a different story. In the hotel, it was a small lobby. I was like, it would have got weird. I did actually want to talk to him because he's working on a new venture, and I was kind of curious about it. But He was having a meeting like 10 feet away from me, just like a sit-down like coffee meeting with 3 other guys. And I wanted to kind of like listen in on the meeting. I was almost going to get a cup of coffee instead of another table, just try to eavesdrop. But would that be weird if I did that and then try to talk to him after? Like, by the way, guys, I had nothing to do with this meeting, but I did listen to the entire thing. I would like to add my point.
I think if you went over there, he'd be like, can I get my water refilled, please?
Yeah, he would have been like, excuse me, who let the migrant in? Because that's what his big thing is right now. He's all about like people come crossing the border. But I actually just wanted to kind of talk to him. I never really met him. No, I take it back. I got him once on camera and he ignored me completely. So, but that'd been interesting. Okay. We do the Raw Rundown on every Friday where we give you the top 10 stories of the week. How do we get the top 10 stories? It goes onto data. It goes onto Google search. And lastly, a very small percentage, it goes into what we think should go in there. Some weeks are incredible. Last week, great entertainment news week, thanks to our friend P. Diddy. This week, it wasn't really that interesting. I'm not going to lie, guys. It wasn't a great week in the week of entertainment news. However, we were able to find 10 stories for you guys that you guys might be interested in and kind of give you the latest of what's going down so you know everything that's going on in the world of pop culture, in the world of Hollywood for the weekend. Is that right, Dax?
Yeah, way to sell it. They're so excited to stick around and listen to the rest of the episode. We got a bunch of boring shit. Stick around, guys.
Yeah, listen, it depends what goes crazy. Last week was just like, man, wild week in Hollywood. This week, I feel like the publicists were on spring break with their kids, so nobody was really working too hard and trying to get their celebrities out there. Actually, I think that could have been the reason why it was kind of a slow week. But before we get to the top 10 stories of the week, we love reviews. We love them so much. We read them. We read them on air so we can give you a shout out, so we can give you just a little bit of credibility to show us, so we can show you our love and appreciation for taking some time to leave a review. Dax, do you have a review for us?
I do. All right. This one comes from Creative Ace, 5 stars. All it says is, Adam does not have a face for radio. He is too handsome. Do you agree with that?
Ooh, girl, Creative Ace, you know, that is, that could be true. Who knows? I don't know. I look like an Ozempic Mark Wahlberg. I think that's the look I've been looking at lately. I look like a Mark Wahlberg who took too much Ozempic. It's just weird what my body's looking like. I have the body of like a retired Zumba instructor. It's like, and I work out pretty hard every day. It's just, oh man, it's sad. A retired Zumba instructor.
Like, how do you come up with this shit?
I don't know. Ridiculous. It's just, if you think of a retired Zumba instructor, that's the way. That's what I'm starting to look like as I get older. That's a nice review. Let's give us those reviews every day and we'll read them. I appreciate that review. And guys, if you can give us a review, it's the best thing to do to support this podcast. On to the Raw Rundown, where we give the top 10 stories of the week, starting with number 10. Dax, what's number 10?
Number 10. The way to get to the heart of the SNL cast is definitely not by telling them that there has never been a hot cast member, hot female cast member. This story got a lot of pickup this week. There was basically a woman on TikTok who said, "Hey, haven't you ever noticed that SNL has never hired hot women, like arguably hot women, to star on their show?" And she went on to say, like, there's been hot guys, and she named Jimmy Fallon, she named Andy Samberg, like named a bunch of guys, but then said, there's women on there, but they're never like drop dead gorgeous. And you look back and you're like, Maya Rudolph, Kristen Wiig. I mean, you can start Julie Louis-Dreyfus. Like, you can start going through the list. There are some arguably beautiful women that have been on this show. And so it got a lot of people talking online, going after her, being like, what are you talking about? Why would you say this? You're just being mean. And then there was the other people that agreed with her. Do you have, by the way, any sound off on this? You being the New Yorkan in this group?
I'm just surprised. I mean, what I was saying, a slow news week. I was surprised that this story got so much traction just on a viral TikTok. I mean, it is sort of like a stupid story. It's not a great. I'm just surprised that news outlets like, we got to pick up that SNL. They knew this story, and I don't blame the TikTok. I blame the media outlets. They knew this story would kind of ruffle the feathers a little bit and get people talking. But I mean, SNL. They've had a lot of females on the show, and there's been some Chloe Fineman who's on SNL right now, very pretty. Heidi, what's her name? It's so stupid, really. There's Julie Louis-Dreyfus. I think Julie Louis-Dreyfus is so pretty. I mean, it's so stupid that we're even talking about this. But the SNL cast members did speak up regarding it. Like, they're kind of making fun about this whole situation. Again, I just think goes back to, I can't believe we're having a real discussion that SNL hired not attractive women.
So Sarah Sherman, who's on the show, she probably had the funniest response. She went on to X, addressed the TikTok video that was going very viral, and all her quotes said was, "Just found out I'm not hot. Please give me and my family space to grieve privately and ugly at this time."
Funny. It's funny.
I love it.
SNL's filming this weekend. I think Kristen Wiig is hosting, and I'd be curious if they address it at some part during like the weekend.
That would be. They should. That would be hilarious if they did.
It would be fun. However, I feel like we're giving too much respect to the TikToker who posted this video, because it's just some random person. I mean, SNL's hired it's just a dumb thing. It's like saying hot girls can't be funny. I mean, there's so many. Kristen Wiig's hosting this weekend. Kristen Wiig is very pretty. The whole thing. I don't really.
I mean, we could keep going on. There's a lot of beautiful.
Tina Fey, they all have good looks. Everyone's pretty. Everyone's attractive. Everyone just has a look. I mean, even you, Dax, you can be an 8, but you enjoy being a 6. You get off on being a 6. You're like, oh, look at me. I'm a 6. It's cool to be a 6. I could be an 8, but no, I'd rather be a 6.
I'd rather be funny 6. Okay.
Yeah, I'd rather be a funny 6. Again, I was surprised this story did get picked up by major media outlets. However, I think people knew that this would kind of rattle people a little bit.
Okay, we're moving on.
Okay, well,
through this, we're not even finishing this. We are done
to
talking about
number 9.
Number 9, Katie Holmes, Jim Parsons, Zoe Dutch, all headed back to Broadway. They're going to be doing this revival of Our Town. I'm not a big Broadway person, but I know a lot of people out there are. That's the only reason this story is making the list, because everyone got all excited about this. I personally could care less. I'm not a big musical person in general. But everyone's excited about this. I guess it's the first time in nearly 25 years that it is coming back to Broadway, and it's got this big star-studded cast. I mean, if you can get, obviously, Katie Holmes to show up and Jim Parsons, I mean, those are 2 huge Hollywood names. It's going to bring a lot of people in, and that's kind of what I think Broadway's done a lot lately is how can we get to fill the seats? Put a big name. Because I feel like in the past, there was the Broadway actors, and then there was the movie TV actors, and they never really meshed. And now all you see is them meshing. You see these big stars going to Broadway, and you see because that fills the seats for them. And I got to imagine if I was a Broadway actor, I'd be like, can you stop hiring them? Hire me. I'm a Broadway person. But I'd go over the list of all the people that are going to be in the play, but I mean, there's so many. There's 23 different names, 28 actors that are going to be in this performance. Yeah,
I mean, Katie Holmes is a big name to be on a Broadway show. Katie Holmes is one of those people who she is an actress. She's done some incredible work from Dawson's Creek to even Batman. I couldn't name any other things that she's done, but she's done some other good projects. But people are very curious about her. You haven't really, I say this respectfully, you haven't seen her really act in a while. Mm-hmm. So I think people are it's kind of an allure. It's exciting to see them act right in front of you, Dax. And I know, you being in the West Coast, you don't have that, have that kind of, you can't have that experience so easy in New York. We go to Broadway, you can see Liev Schreiber act right in front of you. Now we can see Katie Holmes now act right in front of you. So it's kind of unique.
She did 2 other Broadway plays. She did one in 2008 called All My Sons. She did one in 2012, Dead Accountants. So she has dabbled in this, but I feel like you're going to see her more in Broadway than you see her act in TV or anything anymore, which is the reason she became famous.
Yeah, I don't think I'll go see it, but if someone said, hey, you want to go see Katie Holmes do it? Right now, the guy from Succession and Michael Imperioli are doing a show on Broadway. It's cool to see some of the best actors act right in front of you, and rather not on the screen.
So I've only ever actually tried to see one Broadway play. Any guesses what it was?
I would guess Hamilton.
No. Book of Mormon.
Okay. I could see that. I mean, but did you like Book of Mormon? Obviously it was a very successful show.
I said tried to see. I didn't actually see it.
You didn't see it.
I didn't see it. We stood in line outside because our hotel was right across the street. So we were standing in line to get the lottery tickets or whatever at the end. I didn't get any. And then we moved along with life.
Yeah. I am not a Broadway guy. Tickets are expensive. If they fall on my lap, I'd go. I haven't gone to see Broadway. I saw a show maybe 5 years ago. I saw Aladdin because I had a friend in the show, so I went to go see it. But besides that, I it'd be hard for me to go see a Broadway show. It's just not my thing. I do respect it though. When you do see it, you're like, this is pretty cool. I respect the people that do those shows because I know how difficult it is.
Mm-hmm.
But Dax, my question for you is, obviously when you put a star like Katie Holmes in a show, they are going to get paid. I guess they're getting paid pretty well to do it. And I think it kind of bring in an audience because Katie Holmes kind of sells tickets.
Mm-hmm.
But what else? Is there any other reason why you could think a big time actor would do a Broadway show or do a play?
To get a Tony Award.
Is that what they want? They just want that Tony?
I think that there's also the thrill. There's a lot of these actors, they started on stage when they were back in high school. And this is that moment that you get to perform live in front of an audience. There's no like cut, retake, do it again. Like it's all live. So there's a thrill involved with being up on stage in front of all these people. And you can't mess up, or you got to ad lib. You got to make it work. And I think it's so different from like the movie industry as a whole.
Yeah, I think you get some respect. I mean, I say maybe you get some respect from your peers, your colleagues, and maybe from other casting directors. Like, hey, this person is continuously working on their craft. Mm-hmm. So maybe it goes a longer way in Hollywood. I don't know, but good for Katie. It's a good opportunity for her. If she wins a Tony, that would be incredible. In fact, if I was the Tony Awards, I would give her the award because that would help bring in viewers. It would bring press to the Broadway and to the Tony Awards because I know they've been struggling the past few years. So I'm rooting for Katie Holmes here. Dax, what is the number 8 story?
Kristin Cavallari saying that she's actually open to having another baby with her new boyfriend. This is a story that got a lot of press this week because keep in mind, Kristin Cavallari, she is 37, he is 24. So that's a lot of things, a lot of the reason I would say that people have been talking about them because of their age gap. They've been vacationing together. They've been hanging out. He's been able to meet her kids and spend time with them while she was on her podcast this week. And she started talking about like, I'm not like necessarily thinking about having kids, but like, I'm starting to like think, oh, if this is what he would want, then I'm kind of down for it. And then her friend Justin Anderson responded by like, seeing you have another kid, and I can just imagine that baby, like, because they're both really good looking people. So like, I got to imagine the babies that would come from them would be really good looking children too. But I don't know if she's doing this for press or, I mean, she seems to say that like she is head over heels with this guy, that he's like the first guy that's really just made her extremely happy. But I can't tell if this is like the press injection of like, you see this a lot where there's famous people and they get a lot of press and it like makes the relationship even more exciting, or if she is like truly in love with this guy. He's just so young. Like you start to wonder, like, what do they have in common so much?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I had a big, I had a pretty good celebrity reach out to me today, asking me, how is there photographers outside Sugarfish in Hollywood? I've gone there so many times. There's never paparazzi hanging out there. And sure enough, the other day, there's paparazzi outside Sugarfish getting a photo of Kristin Cavallari and this guy. So I don't know if it's set up shot, but if I had to bet on it, I would bet that someone internally is calling the photographers there to kind of get that photo taken. I think it's good for business. I mean, she's not dumb. She knows what she's doing. I mean, I'm glad that she's happy, but it brings in people are curious. People are, for right now, they're following up. I mean, this kid probably has no idea what he's been with her for 3 months, and all of a sudden she's talking about possibly having kids. I mean, I'm sure his family's got to be like, what did our kid get into? Like, this is a little scary. So, but
like
Kristin
nothing's more scarier for a 24-year-old than saying, I want to have kids with you.
Yeah. No, you're right. So I think, Kristin Cavallari has been in the industry for a long time. She understands what people in the media care about, what gets them talking, what gets people excited. So I think Kristin's just working the system. She's just working the outlets. People are covering it. hey, don't hate the play, hate the game. She knows what she's doing. She's working it. Right? All right,
Yep,
Dax, number 7.
Jonathan Majors, the former Marvel actor, his conviction of assault and harassment, it looks like it is going to stand. They basically had put the case in front of a judge and said, please set this aside, and the judge rejected it. So these are all the charges stemming back to the domestic dispute involving Majors and his former girlfriend, Grace Jabari. But basically, Majors' attorney denied the allegations against him and said, please, we need to take this back to court and acquit him of these charges. And the judge said, no. We're gonna move forward with everything at this point. So back in December, a New York jury found him guilty of 1 count of reckless assault in the 3rd degree and a non-criminal charge of harassment as a violation. He was acquitted on another assault charge and then 1 count of aggravated harassment. And so yeah, it's not looking good for him. And I don't think he's getting any of his jobs back after all of this either.
I don't know. It's funny. The last 2 weeks, I was seeing some photos of him walking around with a script, another of him leaving the gym with his shirt off, another person, again, if I had to call it, calling the paparazzi on himself, talking to video people, and it was so blatant where I was just oh, I kind of get it, where he was trying to maybe change people's perception of him and trying to become very likable, and he's just so dumb he doesn't realize that it didn't really help out the way the public perceives of him. But I think he's another guy who's been calling the paparazzi himself recently. I don't know for fact, but if I had to guess, I would say yes. It's just been too many weird shots of him lately. Honestly, this is a story where I wasn't a huge Jonathan Majors fan. So again, we're just following along with you. You said the facts. I just gave my not facts, but my accusations. I'm accusing this guy of calling the paparazzi himself and trying to change the narrative of him. And I don't think it's working because I just don't think he's a very likable guy. Dax, number 6.
Lizzo quit this week and then unquit promptly the next day. But she actually clarified what she meant. She had posted up a story on her IG, and she basically was talking about how just ruthless people can be. They can be really mean, and they've gone after her for years for her looks, her body, her image, everything. And she just finally said, I quit. And so a lot of people were like, oh shit, does that mean she's quit the music industry? Does that mean she's quit performing? What does that mean? And so she did a second follow-up video where she wanted to clarify things. She goes, hey, listen, I just need to clarify, when I said I quit, I mean I quit giving any negative energy attention. She says, what I'm not going to do is quit the joy of my life, which is making music, which is connecting with people. She goes, I know I'm not alone. In no way, shape, or form am I the only person who is experiencing that negative voice that seems to be louder than the positive. I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm going to keep being me. And yeah, I think she has a 100% a point, because she became, I think, very famous because she had an unconventional style and body and all of these things where she was showing it off. You weren't used to seeing that up on stage. You know what I'm saying? Skimpy little outfits. And it really worked for her. I felt like it made her so interesting and you wanted to watch this woman who has so much confidence up on stage. And I found it more attractive. You're like, oh, if you love yourself, then I love you for loving yourself like that. I don't know. I thought there was a lot of positive she brought, but then there's also going to be a big group of people that are going to be haters. It's just what happens.
Yeah. Like you said, I'm a fan of what Lizzo has done. I think she knew how, again, very smart person. Let's start from the announcement in general. She said, I quit, which initially people are going to start, what do you mean she quit? What did she quit? And then, so it already brought eyeballs to what she talking about. She quit. And then she kind of addressed why she quit. Before that, when she came out as a performer, she was, a plus size kind of more physical performer. She was dancing, she was singing. And, at the end of the day, she put out great music. I mean, I still think I put my head down. You know that song was from the movie Blockers. That was one of the best songs of the year. Looking good as hell, fine as hell, whatever that song was. That was a great song. Did I just try singing it? Yes. But that song was a great song. But yeah, I think she's doing what she does best, which gets people talking about her and what she's doing. In fact, I remember when I was first kind of going after Lizzo, she was getting into like a town car with like 2-3 people. Now it's like an entourage. It's like, oh, Lizzo has arrived. And I kind of miss like the old school when they're doing like small radio stations and getting Lizzo. Now it's a little harder to get to her because she's very successful. She's got a team now, and that's what you work towards. You work to try to build a team, and she's got a very big team now. So,
what's funny, Adam, is I feel like the constant theme of this whole episode has been all the stuff people are doing to keep themselves relevant. Again, I think it goes back to all the publicists in Hollywood must be on vacation this week, and all the celebrities have to do it themselves. So they're like, well, shit, I don't have someone to keep my name in the news. I got to do it myself right now.
Yeah. Sounds right to me. She knew what she was doing. In fact, her publicist was probably on spring break with her kids. And like, oh, really? You had to choose this week? And she has to pull out the laptop from Disneyland and start working. I mean, as you get it. I mean, that stinks. You don't want to do that. No one wants to take that call. Dax, what number are we on?
What number are we on? We are on number 5.
Number 5.
All right, number 5. Brittany Cartwright finally basically talking about the real reason behind her split from Jax Taylor. This was one of the big stories. I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but she really got to the nitty gritty of it. She said, listen, it really was the birth of our first child, Cruz, back in 2021 that made her reevaluate her marriage to Jax. She said that, Jax is Jax, whether he's on TV or not on TV. And that's something everyone needs to understand. So I think he's played this villain role a lot over the years on reality TV. And so she's literally saying what you see is what you get. So she said, for me, I was just kind of taking it up for myself. Having a child really woke me up and lifted a veil that a little bit of what I deserved and what I'm going to be putting up with for the rest of my life. She said it wasn't because we were on a TV show. It was just because of the way that we were interacting with each other time after time after time. And then I just knew I had to figure out what I wanted to do for my future and to make things a super positive living situation for my son. That's all I care about. And she said, it was definitely a difficult time in our relationship when, you've got cameras around, but it kind of shifted gears where I became the breadwinner when he was fired. She goes, I became the breadwinner because I was still working and I was going to commercials and doing all these brand deals. And so when that dynamic changes, I think with celebrities and you go from being, on TV and getting paychecks and now you're off, and you've got to now realign everything. If one person becomes more successful than the other when it was the other way to start with, I think that can throw people off pretty bad.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think when we first heard about them separating and breaking up for a little bit, and, they're not divorced yet, but they are separated. I think we all start to question, is this real? Are they trying to stay relevant? Are they, I know they both still have the same publicist. We all thought this is just fake. They're just trying to kind of stay relevant. This is just doing whatever they could do to kind of be in the media. Dax, are you feeling that this is legit now?
I'm not convinced, but it does seem like it's just the part that makes it hard is if they didn't have the Valley TV show coming out, then I wouldn't think anything of it. But there's a whole TV show coming out that they're filming. It's right at the time that they are splitting up and moving out. It's just really good content for a TV show. So it's hard not to kind of go, is this just a great marketing move? We've seen it over and over again in the past. People like breakups. They're interested. They want to watch what happens. I know that she is living in an Airbnb, but like it's an Airbnb. She could be there, and then the second the cameras go off, she goes back home to him. She doesn't make it sound like they want to get a divorce, that they're taking some time to separate, and that she still finds him extremely attractive and talks about him and is very kind in the way that she talks about him. So in that regard, I go, yeah, it doesn't seem like they're like really pissed off at each other, but they're going to reconcile, and the reconcile is the end of the publicity stunt. That's kind of how I like picture it in my mind.
Yeah, because it's around the show, I think it makes me question some things. They're trying to get excitement around this
and
TV show.
She's denied over and over again that this is a publicity stunt, but I don't know.
I'm sorry, I don't question anything in this world these days. And, you know...
You mean you question everything these days?
Yes, you're right. I just... sorry, it just started to rain. And so I'm like, damn. Just make sure my windows are up. Yeah, I question everything these days. You know, Scandival had everyone talking. It had the world talking. People didn't even know the show, but had people talking about Scandival. Bravo fans, and if you're a Bravo fan, I'd be curious. Leave us a message in our private Facebook group called Off the Record. We have this private Facebook community called Off the Record, which you guys should be in. Do you guys care about this separation, divorce? Are you into this storyline? And you could say it's not really storyline. This is real life. But, you know, we know that you guys are really into Scandival. Do you guys care? Are you really involved or into this story of what's going on between Jax and Brittany? But yeah, she kind of said what's going on. She kind of came out and said her side, what's going on. But it's like weird. Like the way she talks about it, she's like smiling, and it doesn't, to me, it could be real. It could be real. I just have a hard time buying it still. All right.
Yes.
Dax, number 4.
Drake Bell setting the record straight regarding that whole child endangerment claim that was put against him a few years back. He is saying that it's just a case of the DMs gone wrong. So he actually sat down with our buddy, Amanda Hirsch from the Not Skinny But Not Fat podcast, and talked all about this. This is the first time he's really chatted about this whole situation and really gone into depth and detail from his perspective. And he, even though he pled guilty at the time, he denies really doing any wrongdoing. So basically what he said is he was communicating with someone online that he shouldn't have, something he says he came to realize a little too late. So he says that once he understood that the person he was talking to via DM was underage, he cut it off, and claims that the person then started trying to blow him up, seemingly upset about abandoning ship, and says that the person then levied false claims against him. And then there was a big old long investigation, and it became pretty clear to Drake that he had not done, or it had become clear that he had not done anything wrong other than the correspondence with this person. But in the end, he decided, it's just easier to plead guilty because he was being drained financially and emotionally. And this was all over the news. And it was just a really messy situation. And he acknowledges that it wasn't the best situation that he put himself into, and he should have avoided it altogether. But he says in terms of actually acting inappropriately, he insists he did nothing wrong in that regards. And so, I think a lot of this is coming forward right now because he is now speaking up. And we've talked about this, about having been sexually abused by Brian Peck when he was a teenager. And so I think a lot of people are like, wait, you were the one that was charged with you were the one that pled guilty to child endangerment, but like now you're whining about being sexually abused when you were a child. And he goes, no, these are two very different situations, and I need to explain why they're different situations. So I think that's why he feels like this is the moment to come forward and talk about all of it.
So let me ask you, Dax. I don't. No one knows really what happened there. We heard what he has to say. If you were his publicist, would you be like, "Hey, man, you did a good job there," or because they can't lie, but I mean they can. But do you think he handled that interview well with how he said it and how he talked about it?
I think if he feels that is his truth, then I encourage him to be able to speak his truth. You know what I'm saying? Like, who am I to say whether it was true or not? But I think he did the best that he could. I mean, I didn't walk away from that interview being like, "Ooh, you're gross." I was just like, "Oh, that's really interesting to hear him finally speak up about it."
Yeah, no, I mean, you said the story. He kind of said he situation. Did he not do anything? Did he not? I mean, you said the facts of what he had to say.
He should not have been talking in the first place. Yeah.
Yeah. Shitty situation. This guy's had it tough, though. I mean, there's no excuse, but obviously there's no excuse for him to kind of do drugs in front of his kid, because we've seen those photos happen in the past couple of years. But he's had a tough life, man, and it's I commend that he's talking about it. He seems like he's working on himself, and it's not a ever finished project. So yeah, I hope he's just in a good place. I wish him the best. Dax, number 3.
Rebel Wilson claims that Adele hates her. This is all coming out of her new memoir, and she's really not holding back. This memoir is getting a lot of publicity right now because she is saying that Adele, or she believes that Adele doesn't like her because of all the comparisons that Adele and Rebel had years ago when Adele and Rebel were both plus size, and those comparisons would piss off Adele. They would see each other whenever they were in the same room. Rebel would say that she would literally turn and beeline it the other way because she didn't like the comparisons, and she didn't like being confused for one another. And again, that's the only situation here, because it doesn't sound like Adele ever approached her and said, "I don't like you." It doesn't sound like there's ever been anything more than a feeling that Rebel was getting every time that they were in a room together. And she said, it was almost as if my fatness might rub off on her if we were near each other for more than 30 seconds, that she didn't like being compared to Fat Amy, like obviously her Pitch Perfect character. I feel like she might be stretching this one a little bit, just because there was never a bad interaction with Adele. It just, she felt like she was being avoided by her.
It might have been her own head. I will say, for all these celebrities that are doing books, Rebel Wilson, it seems like she's a fun hang. She seems like she'd be great on the podcast if she really, because she talks shit. And I always love someone who it's just sort of interesting. And she's, this one could be a stretch. It could be in her own head. So, but yet again, it's a good storyline to go into for promoting the book. But what did she say?
She did say that she lost a ton of money from losing weight, though. Because everyone wanted to hire the funny plus size girl, is what she called it, that she wanted to be the funny fat girl. And she said she lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in commission for each film because she couldn't get those roles anymore. Losing weight actually hurt her in Hollywood. She did say, though, that the Pitch Perfect franchise, they paid her a ton of money. They gave her first 8-figure deal for that franchise. Wow. 8-figure. Obviously, she did Bridesmaid, but when she did Bridesmaid, she was only paid $4,000 for her appearance in the movie. It was quick. She was not a big role in that movie. But then Pitch Perfect, that's where she really made the money, because she became a household name from Pitch Perfect. 8 figures, though. That's unbelievable. Amazing.
This would possibly be the reason why this book makes me, I won't read it, because I feel like with all the stories that come out recently about the book, I feel like I already read it because I know kind of the big stories within the book. Mm-hmm. However, what we try to do in this podcast is kind of, what do we say? We kind of pull the curtain back on Hollywood. And I like that this book feels very similar, where she pulls the curtain back on her career. And I love just getting a good, fresh perspective, and also the business behind the business. The business behind show business, I think, is very unique. She did reveal that lost her virginity to an actor, which I was like, man, Can you imagine that guy? What's the guy's name? The actor who she lost her virginity to, Dax, that she writes about in the book?
Mickey
guy?
Gooch Jr. Yeah, is his name.
Mickey Gooch Jr. That guy, I wonder if he knew in advance that he was going to be in the book, or he found out this week with everyone. No.
He was the first one to read the book. She gave him an advance copy, but she didn't tell him that he was in the book, that was in the book. She just was like when you read it, it's like, I lost my virginity to Mickey. I'm sure you're reading and finding this out right now yourself. And she let him find out by reading the book, but it was already published, or at least already done by that point.
I mean, what do you think that's a good move? I mean, was it a nice move on her behalf to kind of give him like the heads up, or
they dated for a while, so it wasn't like, I don't think it was a big shocking surprise for people, because they did have a public relationship. People knew they were together, so it wasn't like, oh, this one night stand, and neither one of them had talked about it. Like, they were together. Come on.
Yeah. All right, Dax, the number 2 story.
Shannen Doherty deciding to downsize as she lives with stage 4 cancer. She's been opening up a lot on her podcast about her life, and it's called Let's Be Clear, by the way. And she talks about everything that's going through. She's talking about her treatment. She's talking about just like what it's like. And I think it's a good glimpse inside what it's like having cancer, and the mental state that you're in, and the thought process that you go through. And, I think she's realized that when she leaves this world, she doesn't want to leave behind just a bunch of crap for her mom, because her mom, it will be basically the person that gets all of her stuff and everything. She doesn't have any children. She's not married. And so I think for her, she's like, I started to realize, like, what is my mom going to do with a bunch of furniture? Because Shannen has been an avid collector of furniture. I guess it's over the years, it's been one thing that makes her really happy, is just furniture and different kinds of furniture and all this kind of stuff. So she's like starting to try to sell stuff, try to get rid of it. She, I know that she had like a horse ranch that in Tennessee that she was like planning on turning into like some kind of, like place that people could take their animals and stuff like this. And she goes, you know what, like, what's the point? Why? I would rather sell off all these possessions and then enjoy that money to take my mom on trips, and so that we can be together and that we can bond and have these memories made, rather than just like, here's a bunch of crap. So just sad. This whole story is so sad.
It's sad. Shannen's been kind of working through this for a long time now, and she's been very honest about her story and speaking about it. It's just sad, man. She is sad story. I don't really have much to say. I commend her for kind of speaking her truth about it and being so honest. So it's not much to say, but yeah, just bummer. Dax,
I remember
one.
I was just going to say with Shannen, I remember when all the stories first broke, and like, she was so mad at the beginning, because you remember, I can't remember all the details, but basically it was like she was denied getting, I want to say like a breast exam, and then she got it. And then it was like all these medical fuck ups and insurance companies denying, and like all this stuff. And I think in reality, like, if this would have been treated properly, like she wanted it to be, breast cancer, is one of those things that you catch it early enough, you have a great chance of survival. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what's so sad, is that you catch it early enough, you take care of it, you can get rid of it. And now she's dealing with it being spread to her brain, to her bones. Like, God, it just sucks, man. Anyway, sorry, random thought.
Yeah, it's really tough. All right, Dax, the number 1 story of the week.
Sean Diddy Combs, finding out what exactly the authorities found during those home raids. Now stories are coming out with a little more detail about what went down when his homes were raided in Miami and Los Angeles on March 25th. So sources told NBC News that there were firearms found at both properties. Additionally, Homeland Security investigations seized his phones in Miami before he was scheduled to depart for a trip to the Bahamas. So that, this investigation is still ongoing. And one source close to the investigation also told NBC News that the raid was conducted basically connected to the allegations of sex trafficking and sexual assault and solicitation and distribution of illegal narcotics and firearms. 3 women and 1 man. 1 man have been interviewed by federal officials in Manhattan in relation to the investigation. But it doesn't sound like there was more than that. It seemed like everything that they found was more firearm related, not so much about the sex trafficking stuff. And, I would say his people are pissed. Sean and his attorney, Aaron Dyer, they put out a statement saying yesterday there was a gross overuse of military-level force as search warrants were executed at Mr. Combs' residence. His lawyer went on to basically say there's no excuse for the excessive show of force and hostility exhibited by authorities or the way his children and employees were treated. And it was an unprecedented ambush of him, and they called it also a witch hunt. And I can tell you, it seems like this week Diddy has not been hiding away. I've seen him hanging out with Stevie J. They went golfing. I've seen him out bike riding. So it seems like he is not someone that is hiding in his home, even though the world is talking about him right now.
Yeah, he's not hiding. He's smiling for the photographers. I don't have a Backgrid account, so I'm not able to see the video. But I'm curious if any of the photographers did video and tried to talk to my camera. Say, Diddy, how are you doing? How are you feeling with all this? And nobody's just running the video because I don't know. I don't know if any paparazzi or journalist has kind of done the video. Dax, actually, I did get a call this week from a tipster, from a guy who tried to give me a video, try to sell me a video. Now, I did not see the video. This is just the call I got. And the person said they had video of the search inside the house and stuff that they found in the house. Now, again, I did not see the video. This is just kind of what they told me. And they said found.
We saw didn't TMZ have a bunch of photos and videos of the raids that were going on? I swear TMZ
video
posted
of
a bunch
the
of
surveillance
stuff.
cameras. They had the surveillance cameras.
No, they had inside the home. You saw photos of literally the drawers being opened and crap being pulled out. They had a bunch of that stuff.
Yeah, well, this guy tried to sell me a video of stuff going on in the home. I don't know if it was true, but he was like, yeah, there's a bunch of dildos they found. And again, I do not know if this was it was some person trying to sell me a video. Dude, I got video of this. They found a bunch of guns and a bunch of dildos. And I did not see it. The guy hasn't responded to my calls, responses, so I don't know. Sorry, is that just random on my end? I know, but this is the type of calls random, that I get.
I mean, at the same time, it's people like weird shit, bro. Rich people are weird. We've said that 100 times on this podcast. Rich people are weird.
Just imagine the cops going back to headquarters. All right, so what you find? Found a bunch of guns, sir. What else? Okay, cool. But yeah, that's what this tipster tried to kind of sell me on this video. Again, I did not see it, so I don't know the truth. But yeah, it's weird that, I wonder if Diddy's showing his face now because he's feeling more confident that they did not get anything or get anything that they were looking for. Because if they found some really bad stuff, maybe if he knew what was going on, he maybe just try to be careful a little bit. It's funny, in the past week and a half since everything kind of came out, how many old TikTok videos of him have come out. I saw a video of him, an old video of him and Justin Bieber, and he's touching Justin Bieber and he's talking to him, but he's touching his chest and his shoulders. And in the video, the caption, they're saying Diddy was touching Bieber around his body to see if he was wired before he told him what he was telling him. Again, it's just, the whole thing is just really strange. I think we just want to know what exactly is going on. And again, I think what's going on, there was a search on his house. They did find some guns. Allegedly, I'm guessing that's what they're saying. But also, he's being accused of, he's being accused of some major crimes right now, and they have to do their due diligence and investigate. So it's all it is, an investigation. Diddy was never arrested. I'm not taking Diddy's side. I'm just saying the facts. The facts. The facts was Diddy was not arrested, and there is an investigation going on. I just want answers. We all want answers.
Well, that's all we got for you this week, though, guys.
Yes,
that's
I know. Not
We're
a good
done.
week, guys. I didn't lie. I wasn't lying. It's a shitty week in entertainment news. We all want conclusion to Diddy. But that's our week in the Raw Rundown, the top 10 stories of the week. Thank you guys for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you guys like and subscribe right down below. Follow us on our private Facebook group called Off the Record. Of course, we have a TikTok. Of course, we have an Instagram. We are trying to be part of the Gen Z millennial crew. Follow me at Adam Glyn. Follow Dax Holt at Dax Holt. We'll see you guys.
Bye. Hey guys, Dax here. So just want to give you guys a heads up. We were having a lot of technical difficulties today filming the podcast. So I'm sorry if there's a couple weird glitches that come through that you guys hear or us talking over each other. We tried the best we could, but we said the show must go on. So we went on. I hope you still enjoy it.
What's up, guys? If you like that video, there's plenty more where that came from.
Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell so we can just feed you all the goodness daily.
Hurry up. Come on, let's go.